Hey guys, I am Guillian Josh. So, I have a quick question. Have you watched Iron Man? Well, I'm pretty sure that most of us already have, and that includes me. So, for today, I will be presenting my cell analogy using, well, you might have already guessed it, Tony Stark and his Malibu mansion. So you might be wondering, what are the similarities? Why did I compare it to different parts of the cell? Well, let's find out. Alright, so you see, if you're quite familiar with Tony Stark's mansion, we all know that it's quite big, it's quite spacious, and there's a lot of stuff going on within that makes it quite similar to the different parts of the cell. And for today's cell analogy, we will be talking about multiple cell organelles and how we can compare them to the different parts of Tony Stark's mansion. So these are the nucleus, the cell membrane, the nuclear membrane, the ribosomes, the cytoplasm, the vacuole, the Golgi apparatus, the ER or the endoplasmic reticulum, and finally, the mitochondria. So, what are we waiting for? Let's begin. So let us begin this analogy and let us start with the brain of the cell. And it is the nucleus. So for our analogy, the nucleus is none other than Captain America. Alright, I'm just kidding. Of course, it's none other than Tony Stark himself. And to those of you wondering, why? Well, you see, the nucleus, also known as the brain of the cell, stores all of the cell's DNA, and they control and regulate all of the cellular activities that happens within the cell. These are the metabolism, the protein synthesis, the growth, the reproduction, and more. The same thing can be said about Tony Stark. As we all know, he is the man of the mansion, and he has all of the knowledge that is necessary to make sure that his mansion is of any particular use. And he also controls all of the activities and everything that goes on in his mansion, particularly his basement. So, just like the nucleus that controls everything, Tony Stark also does the same. So now let us talk about the cell membrane, which is quite similar to, you might have already guessed it, the doors and the gates of the mansion. So why? Well, the doors and the gates of Tony Stark's mansion has a specific password that only lets those that Tony Stark knows to get in. Just like how the cell membrane only lets the specific important substances needed by the cell to get in or pass through. And the walls around the house are also part of the cell membrane, since they surround and enclose the whole house, just like how the cell membrane encloses the cell. So after talking about the cell membrane, we now move on to the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is where everything is. It is where everything does what it's supposed to do. And this is similar to the mansion's land space, the whole land that houses the entire mansion, entire Malibu mansion of Tony Stark. So the mansion's land space has everything: his office, his suite, his cars, his basement, basically everything, the whole mansion, everything that's included in this analogy is within that land space. So as we have talked about the cytoplasm, which is the mansion's land space. So now let us talk about the ways of getting around, the means of getting around this huge mansion. How does Tony and all of his constituents travel around this huge mansion? Well, there are pathways, hallways, stairs, even elevators that goes around this huge mansion. And this is quite similar to the endoplasmic reticulum of a cell. So the endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER for short, is a membranous system of interconnected tubules that are used to transport needed materials by the cell, needed nutrients by the cell, making it similar to the hallways and pathways that are used by Tony and any of his other constituents to transport any of the stuff needed around the house. So it's used as a means of getting around the house. It's like the cell.
Let's go to you.
So let us proceed. what protects a nucleus? The nuclear membrane, right? So now what protects Tony Stark the same way that the nuclear membrane protects the nucleus? So if you're thinking about the Iron Man suit, well, that's what I thought of as well. Why? Because I saw the nuclear membrane something similar to the Iron Man suit. Because the Iron Man suit protects Tony Stark from any sort of harm, just like how the nuclear membrane protects the nucleus. The nuclear membrane also permits the passage of certain necessary substances that is needed by the nucleus, and the suit does that as well. It can receive calls, it can receive signals, even has the anti-phasing technology which makes it impenetrable. The suit also lets out certain important
Question I get
substances,
asked most often is,
just
Tony,
like
how do you
pee.
go to the bathroom in
When
the suit?
Tony Stark needs to pee, he can do so with his suit on.
Just like that.
It's cool, right? So now let us move on to some of the more exciting parts of Tony Stark's mansion. So to begin, here is his basement. So his basement is the site for where all of the inventions are made and all of the stuff, the calculating scientific stuff are done. And it is similar to the ribosomes of the cell. The ribosomes are the site for protein synthesis, and the basement contains all of the stuff needed, of the gadgets, of the tools that are used to make and start all the different inventions of Tony, and is similar to the ribosomes, which uses amino acids to create the protein molecules. So speaking of proteins, the proteins in the cell analogy are, you might have already known about it, it's the inventions, different inventions of Tony Stark. These are the elements, his suits, nanotech, Jarvis, Friday, and so much more. And similar to the protein molecules, which have different functions and are involved in multiple cellular activities, these inventions also have different functions and they help around the mansion. You know, they can brew coffee, and it greatly benefits Tony to have them. So let's move on to the next part. The next one, the vacuole. So the vacuole is where all the essential nutrients and the waste products are stored. So for our analogy, the one I find similar from Tony Stark's mansion is his Hall of Armor. So for those who do not know, Tony Stark's Hall of Armor contains all of the suits that he has created, both the new ones, the ones he is using, and the defective ones that he no longer uses. Hence, essential and waste products. So I'm actually getting quite tired of talking by myself right now, so I want to call somebody to help me. So let's call Jarvis. Hello? Jarvis? Are you there?
At your service, sir.
So can you help me in discussing my cell analogy? You know, it's all about Tony Stark and his mansion. You might know a lot about it.
For you, sir, always.
Alright, thank you. So, you discuss how it is related to Tony Stark's mansion, and I will discuss about the cell organelles. Okay?
As you wish.
Okay. So now, with the help of Jarvis, let us move on to the Golgi bodies. So the Golgi bodies, or Golgi apparatus, consists of flattened sacs, and these receive the proteins or the fats from the rough ER. And these are to be sealed and packaged, processed, and then distributed to the different parts of the cell that needs them. So, Jarvis, how would you relate this to Tony Stark's mansion?
Hello, sir. I have adjusted my voice to match yours.
The Golgi apparatus for this analogy is none other than me, Jarvis. Why? Well, I was the one who Mrs. Stark used to entrust in receiving simple orders or vital information. I will then pass on or relay this information to whoever Mrs. Stark told me to, similar to how the Golgi apparatus in the cell distributes the nutrients to the parts that need it.
Alright, so thank you, Jarvis. Thank you for that. And now let us move on to the next one. Probably the last, I'm not quite sure. So yeah, I do think that this is the last though. The last but not the least is the mitochondria, also known as the powerhouse of the cell. Everybody knows it by the term powerhouse of the cell. So this organelle, why is it called the powerhouse of the cell? So the mitochondria produces energy in the form of ATP molecules or adenosine triphosphate, and these are the energy needed by the cell to perform its activities. So, Jarvis? Jarvis?
Yes, sir.
There,
My
Jarvis.
apologies. The mitochondria of the mansion is the electrical generator that can be seen in this clip below. So in this clip, it was used to directly power one of Mrs. Stark's machines for his inventions. But this is actually what powers everything inside the mansion, including myself. It's like how the mitochondria of the cell generates the power needed by the cell.
So, you heard him? The Tony Stark's mansion is powered by an electrical generator which produces the electricity that is needed by Tony Stark and his mansion to perform all of the activities inside the mansion. So that's it. It's the end of my cell analogy, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Once again, I am Guillian Mangalindan, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.